please sit. So, Ms. Bindal, it's good to see you this afternoon.
Thank you so much, same here.
We'd like to hear from you how you would introduce yourself to a group of people like us.
My name is Ruchi Bindal.
Okay.
I am a person who has a deep interest in creative field and fine arts. Coming from that, my interests are in calligraphy and rangoli. Talking about my academic background, I have done my schooling in commerce from Sophia Senior Secondary School, and after that I've done my graduation in economics and conflict resolution and peace building from Lady Shri Ram College, and I have done post that my post graduation in conflict analysis and peace building from Jamia Millia Islamia. Since then I have been preparing for UPSC full time, and right now I'm here sitting next to you.
Okay. Very good. Tell me, you
Not next to us, in front of us.
Sorry, I'm in front of you.
Now, still, despite you've done a lot of work you've done a lot of study in peace building, and yet your choice of the Foreign Service is 5th. You're looking at peace building in what kind of it? Is it in terms of what has been your experience in peace building?
So, talking about the practical experience that I have gained from peace building is regarding one of our field trips that we went to Jharkhand there, and I see it's practically applying in my day-to-day life as well, sir.
Okay.
So, in my family matters, be it with my sibling or be it with my parents.
Okay, so it's peace in a sense. You're looking at, obviously peace is not just international peace and security, it can be local also. So,
Yes, sir.
tell me, what has been your main motivation for public service?
So, it's from my childhood, sir.
Okay.
I used to go with my grandfather to every government work that he used to go to. For example, his driving license, his Aadhaar card, his ration, not Aadhaar but ration and license. So we used to go together, and I had that my first interaction with government, and I saw how people are so adamant about public service. Carrying that forward, in my college, I got a lot of exposure to civil servants and their work in Delhi. So that motivated me to join public service.
Have you had any particular role models and very important individuals, public figures who you were particularly inspired or impressed by?
So I'm currently reading the book, a book which is written, which is not just a civil servant, sir. So I'm halfway through it, so I cannot say what it is. So yes, sorry.
I have read that book.
Okay. Tell me, if in terms of a civil servant's accountability to the people, what do you think are the main instrumentalities provided for by government as well as in the legal structure in India, which provides for that accountability?
So legally speaking, through the constitution, bureaucracy or executive is accountable through their Article 311, sir, where they are accountable to the president. Apart from that, if we talk about on the ground, so they are indirectly accountable, where the politicians are held accountable for the work, and in turn, politicians hold the bureaucracy accountable for the work that they have done. So I think this is the accountability, sir.
Are there any other major instruments, any legal acts of parliament, etc., which
Yes,
ensure
sir.
that? Which are
Yes, sir. Right to Information Act is one of those tools.
Okay.
Through that, the citizens can get information about the work that the bureaucrats has done in their work.
Okay, give me a list of what you think are the most important Supreme Court landmark judgments of the past several years.
Pardon, sir, past?
For the past decades, let's say.
Okay. So I would quote the recent Supreme Court judgment, which has allowed the women in the permanent commission in the army, and at the same time their command position in the non-combat forces.
Okay.
Then the LGBTQ judgment by the Supreme Court. Then the landmark judgment is the Sabrimala temple, sir, where women were allowed entry. So then the judgment which solved the dispute between the Delhi government, which is between this chief minister and the governor. politically, that is one of the landmark judgments. And so the recent judgment, not judgment, I would not call it a judgment, but the act of appointing mediators to ensure that the Shaheen Bagh protest is taken care of and they deal with it in a better manner. I think that is also a judgment.
Do you think that's a landmark action taken?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please go ahead now.
Okay, I've changed the subject. You're in economics. You're an economics graduate.
Yes, sir.
So, a person of Indian origin got the Nobel Prize this year.
Yes, sir.
Tell us, do you know anything about him and his work, along with two others, of course?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the Abhijit Banerjee, he's an Indian who's recently won the Nobel Prize. Apart from him, his wife has also...
That's okay, forget,
Yes,
I'm asking about his work.
Yes, ma'am. His work is basically in eradication of poverty. So the various methods that various governments are using for alleviation of poverty, he has given a very...
What of poverty?
Alleviation.
Alleviation, yes.
So he has given a various broad perspective on poverty. He said that poverty is a way of life. It's not just where you're denied food or health services or education. It starts from the family. You see it in the family. You see it passing it on to generations. So he's given a very broad framework for it, ma'am.
And how did he reach these conclusions?
And he's done a research. Ma'am, can I just take a guess? I remember it very vaguely.
Not yes.
Sorry,
Say
ma'am.
that
Then
you
I
don't
will-
know, then you please read it out.
Yes, ma'am. I'll
Okay.
definitely.
So that's one. Tell me, and then I won't ask you any more questions. I heard a lot of questions. I'll just change the subject totally. What have you given as your home state?
And it's Rajasthan.
And that's your choice also, first
Yes,
choice
ma'am.
for posting. Now, you know, Rajasthan is one of the states of India. And very often when people talk of India, they talk about unity in diversity. If you had to write a brief essay on that, how would you describe this concept?
India as a country depicts unity and diversity in various fronts, be it political, be it cultural, be it linguistical, or be it ethnic. Talking about Rajasthan in this sense, Rajasthan is one of the aspects of unity and diversity, where Rajasthan presents a good linguistic diversity, which is Marwari and Rajasthani. And culturally also it provides a very unique identity to India, which is its different forts and the religious diversity that is there in Rajasthan, which is...
But I'm asking about India.
Okay, sorry ma'am.
So just project it to India. What you said can be for India.
Yes.
Various languages. Okay, proceed.
Various languages, various culture, various religions, and also various different political parties and the views also are diverse in India. So we see there is diversity in that. Yet we see this unity in India, because despite being 72 years of independence, we still have maintained our territorial sovereignty. We still have maintained our cultures. We still are carrying forward our traditions with tolerance. So I think we have unity in diversity.
Well, there are many others which are very important. One constitution, one flag, one national
Yes.
anthem. Anyhow, we must brush up a little on that.
Yes.
One more question. If you had to list out 4 or 5 key challenges facing this country today, and particularly in the socio-economic sphere, which would they be?
And first is the crime against women, be it in workplaces or in the public spaces. The second is the malnutrition that is with respect to child, both overnutrition, obesity and undernutrition. The third is unemployment of youth. And fourth is the reducing income of the farmers. And fifth, I would say, is the overall health of the economy we need to work.
So unemployment, youth, especially of youth. Then the fourth was which one?
Fourth was, ma'am, agriculture. The farmers' income needs to be increased.
And the fifth was? The
Fifth
economic?
was the economy in turn. In the global sphere, we need to ensure that the economy holds a stronger position in the world.
But isn't 3 and 4 a manifestation of 5? Isn't that more or less different sides of the same problem?
Yes, ma'am, they are both the cause and
So
consequences.
why do you say crime against women is one of the most important problems facing this country today?
And because a child in India faces problems since birth or before birth. So since she is in an adolescent phase, she keeps on facing the crimes. So I think that's a bigger issue in our country right now.
Okay, thank you.
You've done economics, you've done accountancy, business studies.
Yes, sir.
And from the economic viewpoint, how do you view this losses in the telecom sector, and they are supposed to pay the AGR dues and they are reluctant to pay the AGR dues?
Sir, adjusted gross revenue with respect to the recent Supreme Court judgment, now the telecom companies are in a fix because especially Vodafone here, because if it pays its debt of approximately 54,000 crores, then it will basically be out of the business from India.
Why did it not provide for in its balance sheet doing its operations? It knew it had to pay these dues. It was not that these dues are illegal or irregular. Why did it not provide for these? When there is a expenditure which you have to discharge, it was not that it came as a sudden thing.
Yes, sir, definitely. Vodafone could have mentioned it in a balance sheet, and it's right to it's a cooperative obligation to present the facts before the economy. However, considering it hasn't done it, so it is going to be penalized for the same, and that is what the Supreme Court judgment is doing right now. But if we talk about the economy in general, sir, it is going to leave a duopoly in the telecom sector.
Why do you think such losses have come up? What is the basic cause? Why do you think the telecom sector is, there is so much of demand, everyone is having a mobile, everyone is using mobile. But why is the telecom sector not doing well?
So there are three time periods which define that there are three major reasons for why telecom sector is not doing well. So it started in 1998, where the government, with an intention, shifted to the revenue sharing model, where the telecom companies were asked to give up certain percentage of their revenues to the government for spectrum charges. Since then, there is a lot of companies which are not making good revenue, so they all got merged into a one big company, sir. That way, one big company is not able to sustain itself now. The second is the coming of Jio, Reliance Jio, sir. In 2016, Reliance Jio came into the field with a lot of benefits which were given free. So that changed the consumer behavior towards telecom sector.
So come to the crux as to why the telecom companies are not able to generate enough operational profits to cover their expenditures.
Sir, I think it's the consumer's behavior and consumer's expectations at a lower price.
The tariff?
Yes, sir.
What is their revenue they will earn is through tariff only.
Yes, sir.
And why have they not been able to increase tariff? Because of Reliance Jio.
So that is one of the reasons, because one of the players has come in and given free services. So it changes.
Now these telecom companies, just on this point, have approached TRAI. You must have heard of TRAI.
Yes, sir.
To increase the tariff. Now in free market operations, why should the regulator fix prices? It's a free market operation. You can't have best of both the worlds, that you want free market operations and you want tariff to be fixed. I'm asking you because you are a student of economics.
Sir, I'm sorry, I'm unaware about it. I'll read up on it.
Okay. This recent trend in the budget, they have increased, one of the recent trend was that they increased the import tariffs. Is it not sign that India is going into protectionism?
So protectionism is a broader term which says that you stop trading with you give priority to your country first, and then you stop trading with the major trade deficit countries. But however, India is not doing that, sir.
Then first you stop, come again.
Yes, sir.
Can you repeat what you have said just now?
Yes, sir. So, protectionism is an umbrella term which says that it's not just increasing the import tariff. It also includes that you stop trading with the trade deficit countries and start thinking of developing your own economy first. So, India, I think, with increase in import tariff is not moving towards protectionism, because we also have different provisions where we are constantly interacting with the world through our trades. We are also in the similar budget, we have Assemble in India. So with Assemble in India, we're basically trying to integrate with the world economy, sir.
US has charged India of protectionism.
Yes, sir.
Are they justified? And India has a trade surplus with US. So it's not trade deficit also.
Sir, I don't think US is justified here while alleging that India is moving towards protectionism, because every country has to think about itself first and then move on with its policies.
Okay, now let's move on to Sabrimala. Which are the articles of the Constitution which are integral to this Sabrimala case?
Sir, Article 14, Article 21 and Article 25.
One more article, 17.
Okay, sir.
Now, suppose you had to take a decision on this Sabrimala case in the context of 14, 17, 25, 26. What would be your approach on this issue?
Sir, I think India is a secular country where everyone has the right to practice and profess their religion, stemming from Article 25. So, taking that into consideration, I think women should be allowed to enter the temple and pray and profess their religion. At the same time, there is also a principle of essential religious practices that Supreme Court has said that.
Which is article? Which
I'm sorry,
article?
sir.
26.
Okay. So, with respect to that principle, the government or the judiciary cannot interfere in those religious practices. But then, who decides these essential religious practices, sir? Whether the
Is it cannot or should not? There's a difference.
Yes,
You use the word cannot, that's why I asked. Is it cannot or should not? Can you understand the difference?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hmm? Under Article 14, so it can.
Yes, sir.
Now we move on to another sector. Tell me, what are the basic features of a democracy?
So, free and fair elections, accountable government, responsible government, and responsive government and transparency, sir.
What is another very essential requirement of a democracy? You have said all the points were very correct, but you missed out one very essential ingredient of a democracy:
I'm sorry, sir.
the institutions.
Yes, sir.
Healthy functioning, effective functioning of institutions.
Yes.
Can you name 3-4 critical institutions for a vibrant democracy?
So, Election Commission of India,
1,
Comptroller and Auditor General,
2,
RBI,
3.
so CBI.
Okay, grant you that. But above that is,
Oh, there.
above
You
that
have to
there
look
are
at
2
your-
more.
Sir, President and Prime Minister,
No,
sir.
no, there is
No,
one more.
no. Very important.
The Supreme Court
Supreme
of
Court.
Oh, I'm so
most
sorry.
important
I'm so
aspect.
sorry. It
Separation
just
of powers,
slipped my
Supreme
mind.
Court.
and
I'm so
slipped
sorry.
your mind.
First you
Then
should
there is,
have
no,
said-
no, there's another one now.
Yes.
There's another one. Equally important. No, I will not say equally important, but
Judiciary is
it's
very
important. Free press.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So please start with the Supreme Court.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir,
You mentioned Reserve Bank of India as one of the pillars of democracy. Are you wanting to say that in communist countries there is no central bank?
No, sir, I'm not trying to say that.
Then?
But with the institution that India has right now as a central bank, our institution itself suggests that it is promoting democracy because,
Tell me, what are the main functions of a central bank?
sir, to ensure that the economic stability in the country is mentioned,
Okay,
to conduct the business of the government in the banking field.
that is all right.
Won't the
Is
conduct-
the
this is
prin-
the government-
No, no, no.
the
Is
government
the
conducts
principal
all
accountant kind of thing there, okay?
So they manage all the banks
The
in
regulator.
the country. The
Regulator is the
Okay,
word.
sorry.
Regulators of the bank.
Yes, sir.
And then,
So they print the currency.
okay,
They maintain the inflation in the economy.
monetary policy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
So how is monetary policy being implemented by Reserve Bank of India? What do they do?
So through various tools, RBI manages monetary policy.
Right.
One of the tools is repo rate.
Uh,
The other is the bank rate. The other is cash reserve ratio. And the fourth one is statutory.
What is the difference between repo rate and bank rate?
So repo rate is the rate that is charged from the banks when the banks acquire a loan from the RBI.
Okay, and bank rate?
So bank rate is the rate at which the banks lend the loan to their customers.
But is that fixed by the RBI?
No.
No,
No,
it is
then-
totally not administered.
Bank rate, tell me.
I'm sorry, sir. Bank rate and repo rate are the same thing. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's no
Okay.
interest rate is
The
done by the
repo rate
bank.
is this,
Okay, now you have the currency management as one of the functions, monetary policy, regulating the commercial banks in the country. Is the RBI also managing or is the supervisor for cooperative banks also in India?
I'm sorry, sir. I'm unaware about it.
No, at the moment not. At the moment not. But if a
But
cooperative,
they are loosely.
they are asking. They are asking.
It's
for-
loosely administered. There should be a deputy government dealing with it.
because if they take a license as a scheduled bank, then they come under that. But otherwise, the
It's a
incorporation,
state,
etc., is done by the registrar of the society. Anyway, that's besides the point. When you judge the performance of commercial banks in this country, what are the main issues which come to your mind?
Sir, right now it's the rising NPAs.
Rising
NPAs.
Okay.
Then the second is lack of regulatory framework or lack of proper audit that is done of the banks.
I don't think so. The RBI is doing the audit definitely.
Sir, asset quality review has been done now, sir. Before it, there was a lot of loopholes that were coming in the bank's balance sheet, which has led to the accumulated NPAs in the present scenario, sir.
So there is, each bank has its own audit.
Okay.
First,
Yes,
there is our external audit. Internal audit is one, then there is an external auditor in the bank, and then there is a special audit by the RBI.
Yes.
How many audits you want?
It's a better quality of audits.
Better quality of audit.
Yes, sir.
Right. Is there any issue with regard to the way the banks are managed in this country? You have now today private banks,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
What are the main private banks in this country today?
Sir, IDBI, HDFC.
Is IDBI a
IDBI
private
is
bank?
a private bank?
Yes.
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry. ICICI.
ICICI.
Sorry.
Uh,
Yes, sir.
Then-
HDFC.
right.
So,
And Axis Bank. These are the three main.
HSBC also, I think.
HSBC is,
foreign bank in some
not a retail banker
it's a
in that
retail
sense.
It's not a university.
Yeah, access.
So anyway, you tell me, are these, and you have Kotak Mahindra, you have so many of them, but you think the corporate management in private banks better than the public sector banks?
sir, it depends on the. Sir, I would not say the general statement that the private are better than the public or public is better than the private. Sir, each bank has its own management, and obviously, public sector banks are currently facing a challenge, which is due to dual control, sir. Which is one is by the RBI and the other is the board member appointments is not in control of RBI. So that remains one of the challenges of public sector banks, which is limiting its efficiency.
You think in private banks, RBI makes appointments?
No, sir, but sir, there's no conflict of interest that exists in private banks because there's only one authority that maintains the system of the private sector banks. But in public sector banks, we have RBI and also the other board members, sir.
To a point, the government owns these banks, they have the largest equity. So who will then appoint you mean due diligence is not done? Is that what you want to say? Government has the right to appoint they own the banks.
But anyway, have you heard of Indradhanush scheme with reference to public sector banks?
Yes, sir.
What is that scheme?
Sir, I'm sorry, I'll have to brush.
No, anyway, in economics, I agree you don't have to know everything. I just asked you if you knew. But on this monetary policy, which is a subject matter universal, it is not just limited to India. As a pillar of democracy, I have not been able to understand because Russia also has a central bank.
RBI itself is a pillar of
North
democracy.
Korea also has
Doesn't
one for all
necessarily-
we know.
Independent, yes. The only factor is it's independent. In most other perhaps you can say that.
Well, RBI independent?
Ah.
This is the big jhagra.
But
They don't
it's
even
just
know.
supposed to be independent.
All deputy
Yeah,
governor and above appointments are
Above
made by
appointments are
government.
there. And
So-
you know, and there are so much, everyone's written about it. They should
Chalo,
be an arm's
anyway,
length everything that.
on this
But
NPA
that's the
problem
definition.
Yes.
that you mentioned, rising NPA problem, Are you aware something has been done by way of legislation in India?
So can I take 30 seconds to think?
You take 50.
Okay.
You heard of Insolvency and Bankruptcy
Yes.
Code, IBC?
Yes,
the
sir.
most-
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
So, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, it has given a time limit under which a insolvency or a bankruptcy case will be resolved.
Right.
So, under this, we see that a lot of NPAs have been dealt with under this code. So, this has provided a time-bound solution to the NPA problem. However, there are certain challenges also that exists with IBC, which is one of the challenges is the huge haircut that the banks have to undergo due to this insolvency and bankruptcy.
You must be aware of the merger of public sector banks. Give me 2 examples of that recent past.
So one of the examples is the Dena Bank's merger with Bank of Baroda.
Dena and Vijaya Bank, all the 3 banks
Yes.
got merged. And then earlier, State Bank merged all its
Yes,
7
yes, yes,
subsidiaries.
yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, well, I think we'd like you to, we finished the interview part.
Yes.
Now, is there any question you would like to ask?
We have a role as mentor, so please
Yes, sir.
now ask your questions.
Sir, economics is something that it's my loophole right now because during my graduation also, my economics was a subject which was just the basic that we were taught in the 12th.
Right.
It isn't the honors that we were taught.
Oh,
So-
you didn't do economics honors?
No, ma'am. So that is the.
You took it as a main
it-
subsidiary, I think.
Yes, ma'am. So it comes across that I've done honors and then I have to prepare economics, I know that. But it comes across that I've done honors. So there's a lot of things that are expected
That's
out
what I
of
was
me.
thinking.
Yeah. So I don't
What
know
are
how to
the
deal
other
with
What
it.
are the other things which you
What
did
did
at
you
graduation besides economics? What other
Conflict.
It's a
subjects?
conflict resolution and peace building.
So you took a pass course. in other
Yeah,
words.
ma'am, it's a BA program course where you have to choose 2 subjects. So these are the 2 subjects that I chose in my
In that you
graduation.
went through the arbitration and conciliatory processes,
Yes,
etc.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Mediation.
economics, although it is called honors, it is really not honors. For
Sir,
example.
it's not even called honors. It's written
It's
BA
not called
program.
honors.
It's written BA program. It's not BA honors.
And
Okay,
not so
okay.
the word BA pass is no longer used.
No, ma'am. BA pass is still used, but in
3 or 4.
BCom, in BCom or BBA, ma'am. It's not used in this my course.
I'll give you a way out.
Yes, sir.
Very subtly, while you are giving your answer, the first question on economics, because you are absolutely right, you will be asked
Many
questions on
questions.
economics.
Yes, ma'am.
Very subtly bring in the fact
that
that
you
you
didn't-
are dealing with the arbitration and resolution and not dealing.
Not with the-
But that has to be done a bit subtly, not clearly stated.
It is possible because you may normally be asked to introduce yourself and what you've done.
At that
While
time you
discussing
said,
that
when
you've
he
done.
asked you,
Yes.
at that time you
You
clarified.
might clarify
Should
that.
have. All our questions, even that code,
Yes.
it takes away
I actually thought
Yes.
that monetary policy, etc. I really
Yeah.
asked you.
And
But
even-
our impression of Lady Shriram College is different.
Yes,
Then
definitely, sir.
there is an economics honors also
Yes,
there.
Yes, there is an
Yes,
economic
yes.
So
honor.
that is why I did. I have done it from Shri Ram College of Commerce, so my counterpart, so we know the college very well.
And even that code, this insolvency,
yes, ma'am.
the big thing is that the management is taken over and taken over by government. Earlier people had NPS and they just continued the Ruyas and others.
Chalo, anyway,
So
thank
you
you very
must-
much.
This
You
one-
must
You have got your answer.
Yes, so there's one more thing that I need to
please.
ask. Sir, economics was a separate subject and conflict resolution was a separate subject.
You have now explained it to us.
Yes.
Okay.
But in economic resolution, it was not just arbitration. There were different conflicts of
So
the
you
world that
remember-
we studied.
Explain to them at the time when you get an opportunity.
I think it must be paid fairly early in the.
जैसे
once
मौका
they get
मिले
onto
बता
it,
देना।
then difficult.
Okay. और
And-
बोलिए.
Anything
And
else?
sir, how did I do that?
That field.
You did very well.
You did all right.
No,
yeah.
sir, I don't
you
think
did
so.
okay. I don't
You
think
did
you
all
did
right,
very well.
but you have to. The point is, there are some this is the kind of thing which may happen to you.
Yes,
You
sir.
need to prevent that from happening.
Nani,
Some things-
I think you did very well as far as I'm concerned.
So you
By
have a
and
good
large.
personality. and,
Pleasing, you come across as a person who's fairly
but
upfront and quite
even in
outgoing.
unity and diversity, you just started with Rajasthan.
Yes,
To
ma'am.
talk about a country,
Yes.
then the one constitution, one flag. After the UK,
Hmm.
every USA, which is another federal, they each have their own flag, their own constitution. So these are some of the binding forces.
Be very careful, he asked you landmark judgments.
Yes, yes.
The shine.
And you, it's
Not
not
a
a
landmark.
judgment.
Ah, that's
It's
not a
an
judgment.
arbiter dicta
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
help.
And
It's not
then
judgment.
now you are taking the board into a very
Yeah,
controversial area.
you could have
And
talked
there you
about.
could have got cornered in that.
Absolutely, particularly since you talked about Jamia Millia, you're with Jamia
Yes,
Millia,
sir.
so there will be questions.
Then
could
they
be
would have
questions.
immediately, asked you questions on
And
Shaheen
even in the
Bagh.
5 questions that I asked you,
Yes.
crime against women, that's your point of view and you're entitled to it. Malnutrition, unemployment, agriculture, and the poor economy. Somewhere,
There is duplication.
there is overlapping.
Certain general
I'm sure there
generalized.
could have been 5 other things that you could have thought of and mentioned. So
So when you are mentioning the judgment,
there's
be
a
very
gender,
sure.
whole issue of gender equality.
Yes.
Crime against women is one, it starts with the female feticide, but in health, in education, in employment, so you could have
Broadened
based
it.
that.
Yes.
Most people talk of major judgments started with Keshav Bharti.
No, but
So you could have
I
come
think
up-
she misunderstood.
She
Thought
I
it was
must
a
have asked.
decade.
Yeah,
I
in
think
the
when you had
decades.
said decades.
But you
and I
missed
found-
it. Yeah, it's quite possible that you made that mistake. Perhaps that you have to be careful
Yes.
in terms of that. But by and large, I concede that this could be the. And you went backwards, which I actually appreciated when you started.
And I'm just giving you, as such you have done very well. I'm just
कोई
giving you
problem
a
नहीं है.
critical feedback.
Yes.
You took peace building to a very low pedestal.
Mm.
Hmm.
Peace building is a very, conceptually a very serious thing.
Serious thing.
And you took it to siblings.
Mm.
Right. Yes, sir.
Don't do that.
Yes.
Peace building is a totally new, different dimension. You're getting the point.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You got my point?
Yes,
sir?
sir. Yes.
और एक बात और सुन ले, this interview is not a test of your ignorance, it's a test of your knowledge. इसलिए कहीं नहीं आता कोई बात नहीं, कह दो मुझे नहीं आता.
And how you articulate it.
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, कोई घबराने की
You
बात
agree
नहीं.
that peace building is a very...
Yeah. No, that's a. Mohan
You
is
are
a
the-
people, yeah.
You are the real man.
No. Certainly, but which is true, and internationally it makes, even within societies, peace building is a big.
In South Africa, this whole reconciliation.
Yeah, Peace and
commission
Reconciliation
played a
Commission.
huge role in
In the entire, in
it
the
became like a
stability-
model for many
stability
others.
of that
stability of
area.
the country.
Okay,
These are-
All the
anything
best
else?
to you.
That's it, sir.
Oh,
When
thank
is
you.
when is your interview?
So it's 25th March.
25th March. You have time.
Yes, sir.
You do which newspapers do you read?
So I'm reading Times of India and Indian Express.
Indian Express. Okay. But you also now start making points
Read a,
and leave it at simple points, 3 to 5 points. Actually, you may be asked 5, but 3 points in general in terms of responses gives you easily to make, and they have to be therefore most important points. You can't have 3 peripheral points on an
and
subject.
read what's called a pink paper, one of the financial papers.
Okay.
Yes.
At least in your interview.
Yes, yes. That's
Either Business Standard or Financial Express.
कोई एक पढ़ ले. And you are going from a branded college, don't bother. You will do well.
Thank you so much, sir. But I think my
Branded
problem is
is that-
articulation is my
Test भी
problem.
करेंगे.
It's not your problem.
Articulation is not
very
problem.
good.
जितना
Yeah.
जितना ज़्यादा
So
पूछेंगे
thinking
उतने
of-
नंबर भी ज़्यादा
You
आएंगे.
should get
हाँ
it a
जी.
little before you actually articulate it.
Let him.
Get your point across.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
God bless
Thank
you.
you.
You will do well. Don't bother.
Do
Thank
well.
you
Too
so
much.
much.
Do well.
Thank you.
हाँ जी. नहीं, I think वो
I have given
थोड़ा
you
सा
53
थोड़ा सा
years.
आखिर में